So, if there's one thing I've learned with 3D printing over the last couple months and over the past year, is that I'm introduced to a new form of trash. And this trash is the support sprues that are used for the miniatures. So as you're printing resin, if you're not familiar with it, if you're printing resin miniatures, you have to support them. And you get these sprues that are basically trash when you're done with them. And so I decided, why not try and find a use for them? And they kind of look like metal spears coming up. And so I decided to texture them a little bit with the bottom. They come with their own base even, which is kind of nice. My old coffee trip, I use a lot of coffee for texturing. And so coffee and glue, then a little bit of Mod Podge. After the Mod Podge, spray paint them black. And this is what you've got so far. I've also 3D printed a couple kind of archways and altars and just a couple terrain pieces to fill out some of the bigger pieces. But this is really for the Rain in Hell skirmish game. And we just wanted kind of some hellish kind of terrain to kind of work around and play around in. And so a buddy of mine asked to kind of make some terrain, and he gave me this idea actually to use these sprues. Fortunately I have an airbrush, so it went by relatively fast. I just, as you've seen, spray painted and primed them black, and then I'm spraying them with a light rust. That was the actual name of the color, actually, a Comart. It's from a Comart weathering pack. If I can find it, I'm on Amazon. I'll drop the link below in the Amazon affiliate links below. You can see I really do love these Comart colors and the weathering that you get with them, the colors that you get. I use them. They're probably my most frequently used airbrush colors. And so I've got the light rust and the dark rust down, and I want to get a little bit more dirt. And so this is just kind of a raw umber, kind of a soft dirt, going in and airbrushing these. If you don't have an airbrush, you can usually just paint them, but with the airbrush, I think it's a little bit faster to go through these. And all in all, like this terrain was very easy to build. Like, it didn't take that long in terms of actual work time. I did a little bit of, it's going to take like a night overnight, let it dry overnight a couple times, but as you can see, like, it's almost good to go right there. I took a little bit of a brush and kind of painted in some skulls. I painted in a little bit more of the those vines that are going up. This is from Bestarium, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Bestarium's Patreon. They have pretty much everything you need for Rain in Hell. And so that's what we did here. And not much else to say about these. A little bit of a AK Winter Streak and Grime enamel wash on those, just to make it a little bit more dirty. I did use a black wash, just a normal kind of a water black wash on the rest of the stuff. You can see the blood fountain getting a little bit of tender loving care there. And so after that, I wanted to do some rust, a little bit more rust. I wanted the rust to pop a little bit more on those sprues. And so I took some dry pastel. This is kind of my rust technique. I just shave off some dry pastel, a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and a beater brush, and then just brush it on. You got to be a little bit careful because when it dries a lot more rich of a color. So kind of layer it on in thin layers until you can kind of get the idea of how it dries. But I really do love this for rust. It's a very simple, kind of like a weathering powder, but the isopropyl alcohol just gives you the ability to paint it on, and the isopropyl alcohol also dries really quick. And so you can get just a lot of different colors and weathering powders. Here I am getting kind of a little bit of a blue for a patina on these, and this blue really surprised me. Like, it went on really light. You could hardly see it when it went on, as you can see. But as it dries, it really starts to kind of gain color as it dries. Overall, though, I kind of liked it. And as I said, like, there wasn't much to this build. It was just a little piece of MDF and some coffee and Mod Podge and this junk and I only printed like 2 or 3 different pieces. I printed 3 of the altars, 1 of the archways, one of those blood altars. And I think this will be perfect for the Rain in Hell game. I got 1 more army I'm working on for that Rain in Hell. Both armies I have, I think, are done with the Bestarium miniatures. You see, just kind of going around a little bit more with this blue. And on the left-hand side, you can see the blue starting to dry. You can almost see it from there. It really kind of pops. And here they are when they're done. Just a quick little spin on the Lazy Susan to show you. I didn't show painting that one, but that's another one that I did. I think I did like 3 main pieces of terrain and then a couple small pieces of scatter for this game. And I think this is my favorite one right here. This one came out the best with the archway. There's one of the demons that I have for the Rain in Hell. And then the altar inside that archway. I think that created a really neat aesthetic right there. And the third one that came through was a little bit more of a kind of the bloody fountain right here. And then you can see the larger sprues that came off. I just based those and used them as kind of scatter to kind of fill out. But overall, if you 3D print, I would definitely recommend saving these sprues and kind of sticking them into some of the terrain for some really neat effects. So, more terrain videos to come. And I thank you again for all the support and subscribing and watching these videos.